Now we're returning to the main frame, and we'll have to take off the parts that are on there at the moment. We'll start with the bottom tilt plate, which has got 2 screws to it. And now we move into the hinge side of the window. We remove the bottom cover and take out the small screw at the bottom, which sometimes catches people out. They don't realise it's there. Take the other 2 screws out, and now this part is normally buried into the window with 2 studs. Having removed it, you may find that on your hinge you may have more screws in different positions, and maybe 1 or even 3 spigot holes. So we need to remove the pin from the hinge with a light tap, and then with the screwdriver just remove all the screws. And again, subject to which type of hinge you have, that will determine how many screws are in. You'll probably find that there are 1 or 2 pips on here where the screws have entered, so with a nice sharp scraper, if you just flatten them off, it will make the next process a lot easier. For good housekeeping, give it a clean and clean the bottom one. The template that you are provided with is relatively simple. If initially you cut the template in half down the centre, you can use this side to anchor the hinges that are on the right hand side of your outer frame, and the same for the bottom hinge, using the corner as the guider, and the vice versa for using the left hand. Having cut the template in half, you offer it up with the frame edge lines in line with the edge of the outer frame, like so. And sometimes it helps to just put a small piece of sellotape or the likes across the corner. You only drill the top 2 holes. We would normally suggest that you would drill the first holes with a guide pilot hole of 3mm. And the second hole below. Having exchanged the drill bit now to a 6mm hole, it should be easier to go through the template We're now going to offer the top hinge plate in place, and bear in mind that the curvature has to be away from the edge. So that fits there, and you can use that as your template now for drilling the holes for the screws. Again, using the 3mm drill bit. And then fixing the plate with the screws provided. And remembering it's the bottom left hand corner that we're using, align the lines with the edge and apply the sellotape once more. So that's the template in place to put on the bottom hinge. So we're using the bottom 2 positions on the template and drilling the top one first with a 3mm hole once more. Now then, as in a lot of cases, you will be drilling this hole fairly close to the previous hole that was in the frame. and it can prove tricky. The important thing is that lining it up with the template. So you would go through as close to the edge as you could, and then gently push sideways until you've got the hole in line with the template. And now we can drill the 6mm hole in the previously piloted hole we did earlier. Having drilled the holes now, offer the part in place, and then you can use the drill, 3mm drill bit once more, and drill the pilot holes for the screws. And now fix the plate. We're going to fit the hinge pin next, and you'll notice from this pin that there's a pointed end and a flat end. The pointed end is offered to the underside of the hinge plate. Putting the pin now into the top hinge, just gently tap it home, but make sure that it doesn't protrude past this shank. Offer the sash onto the bottom pin first, and then gently insert there and push the pin all the way home, and if necessary a small tap with the hammer just to make sure it's gone all the way. Having now hung the window and got the pin in place, we now need to turn the handle into the turn position to attempt now to close the window. As we close the window, you can clearly see that the roller is actually catching on the existing striker plate. We suggest that you take off all the strikers, including the tilt lock striker at the bottom, and you'll note on the hinge side that there are now 2 rollers, whereas in the past there was only 1. Having removed the strikers, and we can close the window, ours closes back onto the lines that we drew initially. However, should you discover that yours is slightly out, there are adjustments on this window. The height of the sash can be adjusted by 2mm either up or down using a 4mm Allen key into the head of the nut. The hinge can also be adjusted laterally 2 to 3mm either way, once more using the 4mm Allen key. Once again, lateral movement can be achieved at the head of the window with the 4mm Allen key, 2 to 3mm either way. Repeating myself once more, we have kept the original keeps, which are on this one are 9mm axis. It's at this point in time that you need to choose the kit that's going to go with the correct axis. So there is the 13mm, or alternatively in the transition kit there are the 9mm axis strikers. Choose now. Working at the bottom of the sash, we've already marked where the centre is of the mushroom headed cam, and we need to transfer that position onto the outer frame. So we've located the point where we want the reference, and that has to be in the centre of the striker, tilt plate striker. So we'll now secure that to the window with 2 screws.
One thing that is crucial at this point is that as you offer this tilt plate striker onto the frame, the face of it should sit flush and level with the face of the frame. It may be that you have to remove a small amount of PVC material from the frame to allow that to happen, which you can do with a sharp knife or a sharp wood chisel and mallet, but you must make sure that it's flush. Looking back, when we fitted the gearing onto the sash, if you recollect, we put the arrows in to indicate the travel. So now as we close the window to, we have to transfer that line onto the frame, and it's also worth putting on another arrow just as a reminder. And now carry on and do the rest all the way around the window, remembering the travel direction. Because the keeps that were originally fitted to this window were designed to fit the profile, it's always recommended to use as many of them as you've got to be able to gear up the window. So remembering that you've got the pencil line and the arrow of direction, that keep needs to sit level with the pencil line. Offer your screw and secure firmly with the drill. So having completed the handle side of the frame, we're now going to work on the hinge side, remembering again that the arrow is crucial. We've transferred the mark, as you can see. Offer the striker into place and secure with your screw. And now fitting the last couple of strikers, which you'll choose from the pack, either the 9 or the 13mm axis, offering that onto the profile. Sometimes you may find that this striker will need a little bit of work, in that it might mean you have to take away a small amount of the plastic profile to enable it to sit forward. The final adjustment for compression, and that is to tighten the opening window against the outer frame, is achieved by rotating the cams. On the cam you can see here a small indentation. By inserting the 4mm Allen key and rotating it 180 degrees, that has taken it from tightened to slackened. So any position midway will give you less compression than full compression. And that concludes the adjustments. So as a final check of the tilt and turn window before it's all cleaned up, tilt, turn, fully locked. If you decided to choose to use the conventional bottom hinge that goes on the opening window, then you would need to cut out of the template this area to use for your drill hole positions. So if we're using the conventional hinge, we need to prepare to drill 2 holes for these 2 pins. The first thing you do is, with a very sharp pencil, position the pencil to the centre of the holes that are already there and scribe the line through the centres of the holes on the profile. With this line in position, now you can offer the template into place, ensuring that the arrow at the bottom sits level and flush with the end of the opening sash, and that the line sits in the centre of the pencil line you've already drawn. With that in place,
you then offer a small piece of adhesive tape to both ends to secure the template. Now, using a 3mm pilot hole drill, centralise it on the template, hold the template fast, take it through one, take it through two. We're now going to drill the two holes again, this time using a 6mm drill bit. But a tip would be, firstly, mark the positions on the front of the window where the holes are going to go in, and remove the template to expose the positions. And now we take the 6mm drill and drill through once more so that it will accept the hinge pin. And finally, secure with the screws provided